Hello viewers, this is Too Fast here. In a previous video, I reviewed the Blackvue DR750-2CH LTE dashcam. Now in that video I mentioned that dashcam does have parking mode function, but in order to use it, you need to provide power to the dashcam while the ignition is off. To achieve this, you have two options. One is to install a hardwire kit into the fuse box so you're drawing power from the car battery. For this setup, you'll need to install a Blackvue Power Magic Pro hardwire kit. This device has a voltage cutoff protection circuit, so it will automatically turn off the output when the car battery drops to a certain voltage. Now if you want to avoid constantly draining the car battery and putting wear on it, you can install a dedicated external battery like the Blackvue Power Magic Ultra Battery B-124X. By using an external battery, the dashcam will draw power from the external battery when the ignition is off. Now in this video I'll be reviewing the Blackvue Power Magic Pro hardwire kit. I'll show you the features and settings on the device and how to install it into your vehicle. I will have another video showing you the Blackvue Power Magic Ultra Battery and how to install it. So make sure you watch both videos and see which option works best for you. Let's first take a look at the Blackvue Power Magic Pro hardwire kit. Looking at the box, it tells you it has battery discharge prevention. You can configure the cutoff voltage. You can also configure the cutoff timer. It will work with 12 volt or 24 volt system. Here's a look at everything you get with this hardwire kit. In the middle here is a Power Magic Pro controller box. Below that, this is a double-side tape for mounting this box. It also comes with screws you can use to mount the box onto the dash. On the right side is a wiring harness for you to connect to the constant 12 volt and ignition 12 volt in your fuse box. And this cigarette lighter plug will connect to your dash cam. So let's have a closer look at this Power Magic Pro control box. On the back, there's a connector where you connect the wiring harness, and I'll show you more of that in a minute. But looking at the front, there are 5 dip switches on the left side, a green LED in the middle, and an on-off switch on the right side. Now if you have this switch in the on position like it is right now, when you turn off the ignition, this box will continue to output 12 volt to the dash cam so it can operate in parking mode. Now in this mode it will draw power from the car battery, and that's why this box has a built-in voltage cutoff protection and timer cutoff feature. Now if you switch this to the off position, then when you turn off the ignition, it will not provide 12 volt output to the dash cam, so you will not have parking mode recording. So I'm going to go ahead and put this in on position. Now let's talk about the 5 dip switches on the left side here. It's numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The first 2 switches here is for configuring the car battery cutoff voltage. Looking at the top, there's also a sticker here you can use as a reference. Looking at this diagram, if you have the switch 1 in the up position and switch 2 in the down position, then the output will shut off when the car battery drops to 12 volts. If you set it so switch 1 and 2 is in the up position, then the output will shut off at 12.5 volt. I recommend you set the cutoff voltage to 12 volt, which is switch 1 in the up position and switch 2 in the down position. Now you really don't want to drain the car battery below 11.9 volt. Because at 11.9 volt, the car battery is actually at 50% charge only. And anything below that during winter, you'll have a difficult time starting your car. The last 3 switches on the right side here is for setting the timer cutoff. Again, looking at the sticker at the top here, you can set the output to shut off at 12 hour, 24 hours, 72 hours, or infinite. Infinite meaning it will not have a time limit. If you're hardwiring this to the car battery, you can set it to 12 hours or 24 hours. Now keep in mind, even if you set it to 72 hours, if the battery voltage dropped to 12 volt or 12.5 volt, the output will shut off. With a wiring harness, plug this connector to the back. With a cigarette lighter plug, plug the power adapter from the dash cam into this plug. On this wiring harness, there are 3 wires you need to connect to the fuse box. The red wire is ignition 12 volt. The yellow wire is constant 12 volt. And the black wire is chassis ground. Now this hardwire kit does not come with any fuse taps, and these here are different types of fuse taps you can get. For this install, I highly recommend you use Fuse Tap to connect the wire into your fuse box. You'll get a much cleaner looking install, and most importantly, the connection you make will be secure and won't come loose. Now fuse taps do come in different types, and here are the 4 most common ones. At the very top, this is an ATC or ATO fuse. Next one down is a mini fuse. This one is a Micro2, and this last one here is a low profile mini. So if you're not sure which type of fuse taps you need, go to your fuse box underneath the dash and take a look and see which type of fuse it uses. Here's a closer look at one of these fuse tap. There's a top slot and a bottom slot where you can install a fuse. Now once you have identified which circuit in the fuse box you want to use or tap into, you need to remove that fuse from the fuse box and install it into the bottom slot. Next you'll need to install a second fuse in the top slot, and this will power your dash cam. The way this works is voltage will come in on the left side right here, go through the bottom fuse, and out on the right side here. So this circuit will power the original factory device. And with this top fuse, the power will come in on the left side, go through the top fuse here, and then out onto this wire. At the end of this wire, you'll connect either the yellow or red wire on the hardwire kit. And this is how you're able to tap ignition 12 volt or constant 12 volt from the fuse box. If you want to know where you can pick up these fuse taps, check out the links below. Now when you're using a hardwire kit like this one, the average parking mode runtime for a 2-channel dash cam is about 5 to 7 hours. And during this time, if anything was to happen to your vehicle while it's parked, the dash cam will record the events, and with the LTE connection on this Blackvue dash cam, it'll notify you of the event that occurred on your mobile app. So let's take this to the vehicle, and I'll show you how to install it. Let me show you how to connect this wiring harness to your fuse box. First thing you need to do is locate the fuse box in your vehicle and remove the cover. On the back of the cover, you'll find a diagram showing you which fuse is for which circuit in your vehicle. This is a good reference to use to find out which fuse has ignition 12 volt and which fuse has constant 12 volt. Now for this Nissan Pathfinder, there's a 10 amp fuse labeled electrical parts BAT2. This will give me constant 12 volt. Here's a 20 amp fuse labeled power socket ACC1, and this will give me ignition 12 volt. Now obviously every vehicle is designed differently, so the fuse label you see here will be different than what you see in your vehicle. And this is why I highly recommend you get a multimeter and test the fuse and find out if it has ignition 12 volt or constant 12 volt. Also make sure you don't tap into any circuits that are critical for the operation of the vehicle. So for example, you don't want to tap into the SRS airbag fuse or the ABS fuse. Looking at the fuse panel, this is a 10 amp fuse that will provide constant 12 volt. At the very top, this is a 20 amp fuse that has ignition 12 volt. Here I have my multimeter, and it's set to test DC voltage. With a negative probe, you need to connect this to chassis ground. For an easier connection, I connected this alligator clamp to the probe. On the other end, I'll clamp this to a chassis ground. Now I'll probe the 10 amp fuse. As you can see, it's reading 12.57 volt. So this is a circuit with a constant 12 volt. Now I'll probe the 20 amp fuse for ignition 12 volt. Right now it's 0 volt because the ignition is off. I'll turn on the ignition. With ignition on, here you see it has 12 volt. So this circuit has ignition 12 volt that I need. Next I'll remove that fuse. Now before you install the fuse tap into the fuse slot, you need to test which side of the fuse has a 12 volt coming in. Again, I'll use my multimeter to do this test. First I'll probe the left side. 0 volt. Now I'll check the right side. Here you see 12 volt. So now I'll know the voltage is coming in on the right side. It'll go through the fuse and then go out on the left side. Do the same test on the ignition 12 volt fuse. You need to turn on the ignition to do that test. Looking at the fuse tap, you need to install it so the voltage is coming in on this side right here, go through the fuse, and the voltage will come out on this side. Now having tested the fuse slots earlier, now I know I need to install this fuse tap in this direction with the voltage coming in on this side, go through a fuse, and go out on the other side. With the fuse that I removed from the fuse box, I'll install it into the bottom slot of the fuse tap. Now in the top slot for both fuse taps, I installed a 10 amp fuse. This fuse is what's used to power the dash cam. With the Power Magic Pro wiring harness, I'll crimp the red and the yellow wire to the two fuse taps. The red wire is for the ignition 12 volt, and the yellow wire is constant 12 volt. Next, plug the fuse tap into the fuse box. And here's what it looks like installed. The last wire you need to connect is this ground wire. You'll need to tie this to a chassis ground. On this vehicle, there's a bolt right behind the hood release, and that bolt is tied to chassis ground. The spade connector on this ground wire is very small. I'm not going to use it, so I'll just cut off, and I'll crimp on my own ring terminal. Now I'll plug the wiring harness to the Power Magic Pro. There's a power plug from the DR750-2CH LTE dashcam. Plug this to the output power socket on the Power Magic Pro. Use tie wraps to tidy up the wire and tuck it behind the dash. Using a 3M double-sided tape, I'll mount the module right here. Turn it on. With the dip switches, I set the cutoff voltage to 12 volt and the shutoff timer is set to 12 hours. So let me show you the parking mode settings on this Blackvue DR750-2CH LTE dashcam. You can connect to the dashcam using Wi-Fi or the cloud if you have the SIM card installed. Go to Settings. Select Firmware Settings. Select Basic. Recording. Parking Mode Recording. You can select Motion and Impact Detection or Time-Lapse Recording. Here I selected Motion and Impact Detection. Let's go back. Go back. Now select Sensitivity. Here you see G-Sensor Parking Mode. Here you can set the sensitivity of the impact detection. You have a setting for up and down, side to side, and front and back. You can slide this bar to adjust the setting. When you're done, go back. There's also an adjustment for motion detection. You can set how sensitive the motion detection is, and also there's a select detection region. These boxes represent the front view of the camera. You can select or deselect these boxes. So let's say if you park the car on the street and there's a tree on the left side that always causes false alerts, you can deselect this area. You can do the same for the rear camera. When you're done, go back. Save the changes. And that's all you need to do to set up the dashcam for parking mode. Now, if you did not watch the review and install video I did on the Blackvue DR750-2CH LTE dashcam, I recommend you do so after watching this video. In that video, I went over a lot of details showing you how the LTE work and how you can stream live video directly from the dashcam to your phone. And you can do this remotely anywhere you have cellular connection. I'll link that video at the end of this video. With the ignition on, the dashcam will be in normal recording mode. When I turn off the ignition, the Power Magic Pro Hardwire Kit will continue to provide 12 volt to the dashcam. So right now the dashcam is still in normal recording mode. If the dashcam does not detect any motion for 5 minutes, then it'll automatically switch to parking mode recording.
Parking mode on.
When the dashcam detects motion or an impact, it will record a 1-minute video clip which is saved on the memory card. Now with the recording, it does have a video buffer, so it's able to record several seconds leading up to the event and continue recording after the event. With the dashcam hardwired to the car battery, the average parking mode runtime is about 5 to 7 hours. Also, if you have a lot of event recording, then the runtime will be shortened. When you get back to your car, start it up and start driving, the dashcam will come out of parking mode and go into normal recording mode. If there were any impact triggered recordings, it will notify you of that.
Parking mode off. An impact was detected during parking mode.
The Blackvue app will give you push notification telling you when the dashcam goes into parking mode. So as you can see here, it says enter parking mode, and it'll also notify you if there's any impact detected or event recording. You can view the recorded parking mode recording on your mobile device, or you can play back the video recording on your computer. All you have to do is take the micro SD memory card out of the dashcam and put it into a card reader on your computer. Now let me show you how to view the recorded parking mode recording on your mobile device. So here you're looking at the Blackvue app. Connect using Wi-Fi or cloud. Select the dashcam. Now there's a drop-down menu right here. By default, all the recordings are selected. I'll uncheck everything except for parking mode recording. Now select Show. And here's a list of all the recordings in parking mode. Each recording has a time and date stamp. It also tells you it's parking recording and it's rear or front. So for example, this is a front recording. Now these videos you see here are only the motion triggered recordings. If you want to see the impact triggered recordings, select the drop down menu here, select Events, and then Show. So now it will show you both motion trigger recording and impact trigger recording. Now this video here is me coming up to the hood and hitting the hood. You can download this file if you want. Now this file is downloaded to your phone. So for those of you that have a Blackvue dashcam and you want to set it up so you have parking mode recording, I hope you found this video to be helpful. The Power Magic Pro hardwire kit is not very expensive and is a good device to use when you want to hardwire your dashcam into the fuse box. Again, I will have a second video showing you how to install the Blackvue Ultra battery, which is a dedicated battery pack used to power the dashcam in parking mode. If you want to buy the Blackvue dashcam and the hardwire kit, use the link below to get 5% off your total purchase. Thank you for watching. Thank you for watching this video. To support this channel, remember to click on thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and turn on the notification bell so you get notified of new videos.